Hi viewers, welcome you once again to Micro Learning. This is Shailaja with Class 12 Economics, lesson number 2, National Income. So today we are going to see 2.7 in National Income. So it's a very interesting topic. We are going to see what are the difficulties in calculating national income. When we want to calculate national income, first we should know what are the sources from which we get income. We get from agriculture, we get from industries, we get from service sector, we get from self-employment, from external sources. From all these sources we are getting income. All these income has to be computed together, and we should see that there is no double counting that is going to take place. So when we are calculating national income, we face a lot of difficulties. So you have to overcome those difficulties. So in that, what is the first difficulty that we face when we calculate national income? First one is transfer payment. Do you know what is transfer payment? It's nothing but the government expenditure. It's not an income for the government. It is going to be an expenditure by the government for people like pensioners, people who are unemployed, that is unemployment or allowance that is given by the government, subsidies that is granted by the government. These are all not income towards the government. They are supposed to be expenditure of the government. The second one is difficulties in assessing depreciation allowance. Okay, so there are certain goods which we have to depreciate. Okay, like for example damage, risk taking that is done by an entrepreneur. Okay, replacement charges. Okay, all these are supposed to be, these allowances are very difficult while we calculate national income. Next one is unpaid services. What do you mean by unpaid services? Your mother is there at home, she works for the house. Do you pay for her? No, you don't pay for her. But at the same time, if you keep a servant at home, you pay for her. Her income is added towards the national income. So there are so many unpaid services. Okay, those are not included in the national income. For example, you are doing a service to your friend, like you are doing a painting for your friend and you are giving it as a gift. You are not going to collect money from that person. You're going to sing sing at a birthday party or at any malls that you're going to sing. You're going to sing it at free of cost. Okay, these are supposed to be unpaid services. Next one is income from illegal activities. All of us know what is illegal activities. The first thing that comes to our mind is smuggling. Okay, next is liquor. Then we can say gambling. Okay, these are the common illegal activities where income cannot be calculated from these particular sources. Next is production for self-consumption and changing prices. For example, a farmer is there. He has some food kept to himself. If he keeps the goods to himself and he consumes it, that's not going to give any value, or that's not going to give any income. At the same time, if he is going to sell the product outside in the market, what will happen? He'll be getting a source of income. So what does a farmer does? He keeps a part of his returns for his consumption purpose. Only if he is going to have excess, he is going to sell it in the open market. So when he is using for his own self-consumption, this cannot be brought into national income. Next one is capital gains. First we should know what is capital gains. Capital gains is nothing but the profit that you make from selling a property. Okay, a huge property. Suppose you have a land in acres. Okay, you're going to sell it. It's a great property and you're going to definitely get gains out of it. So this capital gain, how are we going to calculate into our national income? Next one is statistical problem. Always when we have numerical expression, we make mistakes at times. Okay, suppose a person is very skilled person. Okay, how will you calculate his skill as such? His skill is being calculated on the productivity that he is going to do. So that can be measured. But certain services cannot be measured. So that cannot be brought into the statistical data. So now in detail we will see each one. First one is transfer payment. So the first side heading was transfer payment. What do you mean by transfer payment? We said transfer payment is nothing but the expenditure that the government is going to incur. But government is not going to get any payment, but they are going to do only expenditure. So you can see government makes a payment in the form of pension, unemployment allowance, subsidies, etc. This is supposed to be a government expenditure. It's not an income. So it is an expenditure. This cannot be taken into consideration while we calculate the national income. Okay. So during a year, what happens? Interest on national debt also considered as transfer payment, because why is interest on national debt calculated as transfer payment? Because it is debt. Okay, so we have to make payment in the form of interest. That's not a gain for the country. It is again a loss towards the country. So that income cannot be calculated. Next one is difficulties in assessing depreciation allowances. So now we are going to deduct the depreciation. All of us know depreciation has to be subtracted. So suppose there is an accidental damage, there is a repair, there are replacement charges. Okay, all this is not very easy to calculate. Okay, it needs a high degree of judgment. It takes time to calculate, because one person has bought the product, the product has been passed down to another person, okay, on a depreciational value. Okay, whether to take the first value or whether to take up the depreciated value, all this has great complications. So we have difficulties in assessing depreciation allowance. The next one is unpaid service. Unpaid service, what your mother does at home. Okay, a housewife renders a number of useful services, like she provides meals, serving, tailoring, mending, washing, cleaning, bringing up the children, and etc. She is not paid for the service for what she is doing. So that is not taken into consideration while calculating national income. Such services are performed, okay, but they are not paid for. But at the same time, if you have a servant at home, that service is being taken into consideration and we pay for it, and that income is being computed into the national income. Next one is income earning through illegal activities like gambling, smuggling, all these things is not included in the national income. Next one, they have value and satisfy the want of the people, but they are not considered as productive at the point of view of the society. Okay, so all these illegal activities, they bring income, but the value, it only satisfies human wants, but they are not considered as productive activities. Okay, and it is in no way going to help the society as such. Next one is production for self-consumption and changing price. So here you are going to see farmers, they keep a set of food and other goods produced on the farm for self-consumption. So here now the problem is arising whether the part of the produce is not sold in the market and be included in the national income or not. So national income by product method is measured by the value of the final goods and service. Okay, so national income, when we computed national income, we have seen all the final goods and services only are taken into consideration when we calculate the national income. But prices do not remain stable. So the price always fluctuates over there. So which price are we going to take into consideration while we calculate national income? So this is the next problem that we face in computing national income. So now to solve this problem, what can we do? Economists calculate the real national income at the constant price level and by consumer price index. So constant price. They take the price value for a particular year and they find out what is the average price of that particular year, and by consumer price index as such. Next one is capital gains. The problem also arises with regard to capital gains. So capital arises when a capital asset such as house, other property, stock and shares, etc. is sold at high prices than was paid it at the time of the purchase. Okay, you're going to buy a house or you're going to buy a land. Okay, when you buy a land, might be you would have bought it at a cheaper rate. But after few years, what happens? The value of that particular land is being doubled. Okay, now which value are you going to take? Whether the base value are you going to take, or the final value after 10 years, which value are you going to take into consideration? Which can we compute into the national income? So capital gains are excluded from the national income. They are not taken into consideration. Now statistical problem. There are statistical problems too. That is, great care is required to avoid double counting. Okay, so double counting twice when a product is being computed into the national income, that means there is double counting. Okay. So statistical data may not be perfectly reliable. So when they are compiled from numerous sources, skill and efficiency of the statistical staff and cooperation of the people at large are also equally important to estimate the national income. So the person's skill, efficiency of the staff, all this has to be taken consideration, because we are large in population. Every person is talented. So everything cannot be taken into consideration. So certain things which is having numerical value only is taken into consideration for calculating statistical data. So you can see some of the problems while we calculate the statistic. Accurate and reliable data is not adequate, as farm output in the subsistence sector is not completely informed. In animal husbandry, there is no authentic production data available. Okay, so animal husbandry, cattle rearing, all these are there. Okay, from that there is no authentic production as such. So this data is not going to be true and it cannot be taken into consideration. Different language, custom, etc. also create a problem of computing estimates. So when we know only one language and the person to whom we are talking is from another language or from another custom, okay, it's very difficult to get information, proper information from them. So there goes the statistics wrong. Okay, people in India are indifferent, and what happens? There is much chaos. They do not cooperate as us. You can see the census people, when they come home, they ask you some details. They do not give you the correct data. Okay, they say it's like this, it's like this, it's like that. That's all. But nothing is being told out properly. And most of the statistical staff who come home are untrained, or they may be inefficient also. And because of that, you are not able to get the correct data. So these are supposed to be the difficulties in measuring national income. So first one we saw transfer payment. Second one was difficulties in assessing depreciation allowance. Third one we saw unpaid services. Fourth one we saw income from illegal activities. Fifth one, productive and self-consumption and changing price. Sixth one is capital gains, and seventh one is statistical problems. So you have a worksheet. What is transfer payment? You can write it with examples. Next is, what are the statistical problems in calculating national income? Then what is capital gains? Okay, so just go through the slides once again, then answer to the worksheet that is given here. Those who are watching this channel for the first time, please support me. Click onto the bell button so that you can get further notifications. Thank you very much.